Thank you very much, Alberto. We're going to start now to talk about the reaction to the PRRS outbreak. So Alberto described to us what we know about the virus sequence. Joanna talked to us about what we know about the clinical signs at the farm. We have collected a little bit of information. Now it's time to start to put together a plan. You will find in the documents on your table this worksheet, the 5-step program, okay? It is your workbook. It is your template for thinking through how to manage a PRRS outbreak. Look, PRRS outbreaks are very stressful situations. They're stressful for the veterinarian, they're stressful for the producer, they're stressful for the farm workers. When you are stressed, you need a plan. And to put together the plan, it is very helpful to have a template. And that's what the 5-step program helps us to do. It helps us to build a plan, a methodical plan that includes our goals, that includes our limitations, that includes our constraints, but ultimately gives us milestones and monitoring to make sure that we are on track with improving this PRRS situation. So we'll go through this and we will talk about the 5-step process in a methodical way, one step at a time. Step 1, we have to have a goal. We have to know where we are going, okay? And the goal obviously includes having less dead pigs, but we need to be a little bit more detailed than that with our goal. We want to understand, are we going to eliminate the PRRS and go to an antibody negative, category 4 status? Is that our goal? Or are we going to control the PRRS? Meaning we want to keep antibodies in this site 1. We don't want to go to being truly naive to PRRS, okay? Now, helping to think through what is right in my situation, we've kind of oversimplified it into this chart. And really it comes down to how likely is your site 1 to see PRRS again in the future. Maybe you have a multiplier site 1. Maybe this PRRS outbreak was at a farm where you make replacement gilts, and you cannot tolerate any sort of PRRS in that farm. Not any vaccine, not any wild type. If that's the case, it is pretty straightforward. You want to eliminate, and you should be in an area that is pretty low density. You should have pretty good confidence for that type of farm that you will not have a PRRS challenge again. But obviously, most of our commercial farms are different than that. They are in areas where we have a lot of pig density, where maybe we have an outbreak that happens every 1 year or every 2 years or every 3 years. We would be silly if we did not have PRRS antibody in that situation. Now, this is a complicated question in terms of, do we want to control or eradicate? And then if we do control, do we control with vaccine? Do we use any live virus stimulation as part of the control? And the good folks with BI have created another fact sheet. On your table, you will find this document. You can see this chart right there on the front of it. That is a good take-home reference material for when you are using the 5-step process. When you start to do the 5-step process and you want to define your goal, you can go to this document to give you more details on what is the type of criteria that should lead you to elimination, what is the type of criteria that should lead you to control, and then what are the benefits of vaccination if you do go down the control pathway. Now, one thing is for sure, we don't want to stay in unstable. No one wants to stay in PRRS unstable. we have clinical signs at the site 1, and we have significant clinical signs at the site 2s and site 3s. And this chart gives us some summary data from a very large production system in the United States, where they organized their site 2 and site 3 mortality combined into flows that were PRRS negative, flows that were PRRS stable, meaning not really any wild-type virus, had antibodies, but no wild-type virus, and then certainly those pig flows that were unstable. We can't live in the world of being unstable, but we have some choices to make on do we eliminate, do we control, and if we do control, how do we control? I'd like to welcome on the stage now Dr. Daniel Linhares. Dr. Linhares is a professor at Iowa State University, and in addition to doing some wonderful field research himself, he oversees a very large team of very capable graduate students that do research projects all over the United States. And he's going to share with us some of his thoughts on control versus elimination, what might be most appropriate for this producer, and how to think through that opportunity. So please help me and welcome Daniel to the stage.
Thank you. Buenos días. Com muito gusto saludo a ustedes e agradeço pela oportunidade de estar aqui. Sempre me encanta estar em México. Me encanta la comida, las personas, el clima. Muitas similitudes com o Brasil, então sempre me sinto em casa quando aqui. Então, seguindo com este caso, vamos a primeira pergunta neste programa de 5 passos é definir vamos a eliminar o vírus ou vamos a controlar o vírus. Controlar não significa estar inestável, como disse Clayton, significa que podemos fazer para silenciar a sintomatologia clínica e, ou seja, buscar resultados econômicos vivendo com o vírus de maneira controlada. Então, para responder essa pergunta, há 2 coisas que nos gusta perguntar para os produtores para ajudar com essa decisão. A primeira pergunta é qual é a probabilidade de êxito se vamos a fazer programa de eliminação, vamos a ter êxito ou não. E a segunda pergunta é como é nossa biosseguridade. Se eu elimino o vírus, quanto tempo depois da eliminação vou a seguir negativo? Porque economicamente não tem muito sentido se vamos eliminar e depois de 6 meses vamos a ter outro brote e reiniciar tudo outra vez. Então, vamos falar desses 2 pontos, alta probabilidade de êxito e a biosseguridade. Oops, this one. Uma notícia boa é que hoje em dia há muitas ferramentas que nos permitem medir a biosseguridade. Então, não é biosseguridade alta, baixa, mais ou menos. Además que isto, podemos medir toda a biosseguridade e utilizar os números e entender se a biosseguridade não é boa, por que não, e como podemos seguir melhorando a biosseguridade de maneira utilizando ciência prática e aplicada. E Marius, no rato, vou vir aqui para falar deste programa que se chama Combate. Então, para as 2 perguntas que queremos dizer com alta probabilidade de eliminação é entender a estrutura da granja. Claro que se temos solamente sítio 1 aislado e esse sítio 1 não há animais de destete, não há animais de crescimento e terminação, é muito mais fácil e sencillo eliminar o vírus de sítio 1 solamente, comparado que quando tenho outros animais, pulmões, respirando e excretando vírus em la granja. Então, sempre que temos sítio completo ou sítio 2 junto com o sítio 1, é pouco mais complexo. E nestes casos, não quer dizer que é impossível a eliminação, sim é possível, pero o programa é pouco mais complexo, Vamos a ter que falar de despoblação parcial, ou seja, destetar os animais fora do sítio por algum tempo e fazer vazio sanitário el destete e utilizar vacunação de toda a população para, como disse Alberto, que o vírus vacunal desplace o vírus de campo e assim a circulação viral está mais controlada. E que queremos dizer com a alta probabilidade de não solamente eliminar, pero manter libre, é também que chamam os americanos de compliance, ou seja, quanto que o plano que está no papel vai ser executado em la granja, ou seja, a imunização do rebanho segundo o plano. Monitoreo constante para PRRS, vamos falar de monitoreo porque, especialmente no terço final do programa, os animais vão estar 100% clinicamente ok, os números parecem ok, pero o vírus sigue replicando de maneira subclínica. E a única maneira de determinar se o vírus está ou não mais circulando em la granja não é com os olhos, e sim com diagnóstico, porque de novo, vai estar subclínico. Então, um monitoreo diagnóstico e clínico constante desde o início hasta que a granja não esteja estável ou negativa é muito importante. Vamos falar também, especialmente em passo 4, pouco sobre cambios estratégicos em flujo de cerdos, principalmente hablando de las primerizas, quando entram en el sitio 1, tienen que estar imunizadas y no excretando vírus, y hay maneras sencillas de cómo medir esto. Y claro, bioseguridad, cuando hablamos de bioseguridad, no es solamente la bioseguridad externa de la granja, pero también la bioseguridad interna. Sabemos que en todas las fases de la eliminación, PRRS pode ser muito diferente a prevalência entre uma sala para outra sala, entre camadas. Ou seja, pode ser que tenha uma sala completamente negativa, outra sala positiva, e dentro da sala positiva, muitas camadas negativas e uma outra camada positiva. Então, o que chamamos de biosseguridade interna, ou seja, tudo que tu pensas quando falamos de MacRebel, são coisas que hacemos para ser difícil para o vírus mover de uma camada para outra, de uma sala para outra, e assim de uma semana para outra, e a largo do tempo. Então, todo isto é importante e é uma conversa que temos que ter com o produtor, quanto a confiante e estamos com certeza que essas coisas vão ser implementadas. Se podemos implementar isso todo, temos uma alta probabilidade de eliminação. Se não, eliminação pode não ser o melhor para a granja. Outros exemplos quando falamos de biosseguridade interna, são biosseguridade de personal, de las pessoas, empregados, visitas. E este aqui é fator muito importante quando hacemos investigação de brotes para entender por que a granja se infectou. Sempre há, não sempre, mas comumente há coincidência de pessoas de mantenimento visitando as granjas para algo que se passou e que não estava planejado. Então, as pessoas nem sempre seguem todos os protocolos de biosseguridade. Então, é sempre interessante revisar toda essa biosseguridade de personal, de transporte também, os caminhões, depois de cada carga. E outro ponto muito importante é a biosseguridade durante a eliminação de barras, de las mortalidades, ¿no? Como se hace isso? Há muitas maneiras diferentes de hacerlo e há que pensar em los veículos, em las personas e se são compartidos com outras granjas, se quais são as camadas de biosseguridade que podemos implementar. Y para esto, en este fact sheet con ustedes hay un checklist de las cosas clave que para ayudar a establecer, pensar en establecer, tengo una alta probabilidad de eliminación, sí o no. Si es posible chequear todas estas cajas, entonces es sencillo y sí, vamos a eliminar el virus de esa granja. Si no puede chequear todas esas cajas, eliminación completa, puede ser que no sea el mejor para esta granja. En este caso de Joana, tenemos de los ¿cuántas cajas tenemos aquí? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, de donde solamente fue posible chequear dos cajas, o sea, el plan de monitoreo, Joana está confiante que podemos implementar en esta granja, y la bioseguridad interna también los MacRebel, todo ese tema de bioseguridad interna, Joana está confiante que podemos eliminar. Y para hablar más de bioseguridad, vamos a tener de vuelta aquí el doctor Marius Kunze, que va nos ensinar sobre el programa de combate y cómo podemos utilizar essa herramienta de uma maneira sencilla para, novamente, não só entender minha bioseguridade é boa, é mala, e sim, onde especificamente há as oportunidades para melhoria da bioseguridade. Com isto, graças por a hora e, Marius, welcome back.
Daniel, thank you. He's fantastic, right, Daniel? He doesn't only know anything about PRRS, he also speaks any language on the planet, so really impressive. I have brought you a couple of slides about a tool that we have been working on, and I like it a lot. Even though it's about biosecurity, I know biosecurity is not our favorite topic, and even less the favorite topic of the farmer. And we have taken this into consideration. So the tool that I'm just showing you, Combat, stands for Comprehensive Online Management Biosecurity Assessment Tool. It is a very easy to use tool. So we have created a tool that only takes probably 15 to 20 minutes for the biosecurity assessment. And just recently, we have updated it with a very new feature. Currently, we are talking about step number 1, determine the status. So are you pursuing PRRS control? Are you pursuing PRRS elimination? And the new feature that I will just show you in a minute can help us with that kind of decision. Before talking about the feature, I will like to quickly introduce you to the tool so that you do get an understanding on how this has been working and how this tool will generate benefit for your system. So back again to our fictional case report for today. We're going to slip into the rubber boots, and with Combat we try to help Daniel to answer the question on how we can estimate of going for the control or for the elimination pathway for today. So at the very beginning we have the general section, and the general section compiles all questions regarding farm location, farm size, proximity to major roads, to pig farms, to slaughter plants. And this is very important because it will help us to set the scene, to get an idea about the general biosecurity, the surrounding biosecurity in our system. We know that when we have very challenging circumstances, so other farms in close proximity that have an unknown PRRS status or that are even PRRS positive, then it can already help us to understand if we need to put an additional emphasis on external categories, and then also can help us to better understand if we can pursue PRRS control or if we can even aim for PRRS elimination. So this, in the beginning, those categories, or this one will be very helpful to understand the basic biosecurity. And in order to make this tool very efficacious, we ask you what kind of system you would like to analyze. So depending on the production system that you're choosing, you will only see the questions that are relevant for you, to be very cautious about your time and the time of the veterinarian, of the producer. So after we have understood about the general biosecurity, about the farm surroundings, we answer a couple of questions that are dedicated to those different sections. So we answer questions regarding transportation, regarding internal biosecurity, regarding management. And then in the end, because I know you want to explore the tool, you would like to try it out, in the end, we will ask you whether those data are fictional. So now I don't know which is which, because apparently my Spanish is not as good as I thought. But you can then verify if these are real farm data or if these are only hypothetical data. And if you want to try out the tool, please feel free to do so. Then just say that this is just a fictional data that you're including into the tool. And talking about the feature that I wanted to share with you, because now we are defining whether to aim for PRRS control or for PRRS elimination. This was a collaboration again with the Iowa State University, with Gustavo Silva, and he helped us to correlate the level of biosecurity and the prediction of breaking with PRRS over a period of 5 years. And with this correlation, we can estimate, so here is the level of biosecurity risk. This is higher biosecurity risk, this is poorer biosecurity risk, and this is the assumption of breaking with PRRS. And here in our system, for example, we have quite a more to severe biosecurity risk, and we would estimate with our given biosecurity that we will break roughly twice within 5 years with PRRS. So in our scenario, based on the biosecurity assessment that we have done previously, we could give a guidance that PRRS elimination may not be an attainable goal. Whereas Clayton said that for some systems, for multiplier, they have great farm location. We can do the assessment. They have probably great external biosecurity. And with that, we may be very confident that we only break on very few occasions with PRRS. So this will be a farm individual assessment based on the biosecurity status of our system. So Daniel, it will be important for us when we talk about our PRRS control plan that we don't only know the goal, where we are going, but that we also know where we are coming from, right? And therefore, you are working a lot, and the colleagues in the US, they work a lot with the AASV classification. Would you like to guide us through the classification system?
Yeah, sure, let's do it. Sí, claro, vamos a hacerlo juntos aquí. Entonces, este es el flujo de cómo la Asociación Americana de Veterinarios que trabajan con cerdos, ASV, hacen para clasificar cada una de las granjas. Y esa clasificación, entonces, es para granjas de sitio 1 y es una clasificación semanal. Cada semana las granjas son clasificadas, entonces, entre 1A, 1B, 2, 3 o 4. Y logo después del brote, las granjas están 1A, entonces es importante saber dónde estamos. En este caso, en el caso de Joana, estamos en la categoría 1A. Y como hablamos, vamos a controlar, vamos a eliminar. Cuando hablamos, vamos a controlar. Si nuestro objetivo es controlar, vamos a quedar aquí en el azul, 2 o con o sin vacunación. Vamos a hablar más después de esto. Y si vamos negativos, vamos al verde. O sea, de todo que hablamos, probabilidad de eliminación y probabilidad de mantener negativo por 2, 3 años, no estamos confiantes. Entonces, nuestro objetivo va a estar aquí estable. Entonces, de manera simples, ¿qué significan esos estatus? todo embasado en diagnóstico, sea status 1A. Esta coluna aqui são resultados de PCR. Então, resultados de PCR sempre são positivos para inestável, com alta ou baixa prevalência. A diferença de alta e baixa prevalência é no número de PCRs positivos que temos. Se estamos fazendo o monitoreo semanal, se sempre é positivo, então estou em alta prevalência. Quando mais ou menos 75% dos resultados são negativos, mas todavia tenho alguns positivos, posso dizer que estou 1B. Neste caso, 1B, a produtividade já está de volta ao normal. Clinicamente, as granjas de sítio 1, não de sítio 2 ou 3, mas a granja de sítio 1 está em números e clinicamente normal. Depois, estável. Quando dizemos não detectável, não quer dizer que não estamos medindo, estamos fazendo os PCRs saem negativos em fluidos de processado, ou de línguas, ou fluidos orais, ou suero, seja que seja usado para o monitoreo. Os resultados semanais são sempre negativos, então estão estáveis. E vamos falar mais disto adelante. Então, em resumo, para esta passo 1 do programa é para esta pergunta: vou fazer eliminação ou vou fazer controle? Decidimos, vamos fazer o controle. Então, vamos sair de 1A para estável e depois, então, já temos bem claro onde estamos e para onde vamos. Vamos invitar a Dr. Clayton Johnson aqui de volta para... E agora? ¿Qué significa el paso 2 y cómo podemos hacer esto para lograr los objetivos? Entonces, Dr. Clayton, welcome back.
Gracias, Daniel. Y ahora volver a la traducción. Step number 2. Step number 2 is fortunately a pretty easy one in this case. Step number 2 is determining our PRRS status. Unfortunately for this farm, the PRRS status is like smacking it in the face, right? We have abortions, we have clinical signs, we have a PRRS outbreak. So we know that the status on our farm is a status category 1A. We are positive unstable. We are in the middle of the outbreak situation. Very straightforward on where we are at. And we know that is not where we want to be. So we're going to transition into putting together a plan here shortly. But let's keep in mind the value of PRRS sequencing. Generally at this stage, you already have an ORF5 sequence. And the ORF5 sequence is helpful. It is helpful for getting the lineage, which gives you a prognosis, helps you to understand how many pigs you are likely to lose and at what stage of production you should expect to see the biggest impact from this strain. However, the ORF5 sequencing alone won't tell you how many strains are in your sow farm. And that's where we need the whole genome sequencing. So just a reminder that if you get to this stage of the outbreak and you have not yet requested the whole genome sequencing, it's a good time to do so right now. The whole genome sequencing will help us, again, with the prognosis, how many PRRS strains are there, and it helps us to forecast the risk of future recombination of multiple PRRS strains on this farm, turning in to a new strain when they meet and recombine with each other. Daniel, if you would come back up to the stage, take us through a little bit more here in step 2. So let's say that we've submitted our samples, we're going to request the whole genome sequencing. Where do we go from here?
Thank you. Então, uma vez mais estamos aqui em 1A, queremos estar aqui em 2. Y, o sea, necesitamos entender que o que buscamos nosotros es la disminución de excreción de virus, o sea, disminución de la presión de infección, y esto es medido por PCR. Tenemos ELISA aquí también, pero en este caso ELISA no vamos a utilizar porque esperamos que ELISA va a estar siempre positivo, porque la granja es positiva en alta prevalencia, después baja prevalencia, y mesmo quando estable no quer decir negativo, o sea, los resultados de ELISA no van a tener mucho sentido para este caso específico. Entonces, todos los que vamos a hablar es de resultados de PCR. Entonces, como dice Clayton, ese paso 2 es muy sencillo, muy simples. Dos cosas para ter en mente. Uno, queremos saber dónde estamos en la escala, y estamos en 1A y vamos para 2, y está tranquilo. Y otra cosa que Clayton nos enseñó es conozca a su enemigo. O sea, cuando tenemos un brote de PRRS, ¿qué PRRS estamos hablando? Como dice Alberto, hay varias linajes diferentes, y en nuestra experiencia es muy común un brote con 2 o 3 o 4 o más linajes o variantes, cepas, como tú quieras decir. Entonces es muy importante conocer cuáles son los virus que tenemos en el inicio del brote, y para esto, si posible, hace una secuenciación completa del virus para entender estas cosas, ¿sí? Cuántas variantes tengo yo, cuántos diferentes son de una de la otra, y esto permite no solo para conocer en el momento del brote, entender de dónde vino este virus, pero después de 20, 30 semanas, si el control no va bien y queremos saber por qué, es porque tuvimos introducción de otras variantes, o los virus recombinaron o cambiaron. Para responder a esa pregunta hay que hacer otra secuenciación y luego comparar con la inicial, ¿no? Entonces, por eso queremos decir conozca tu enemigo, secuencie su virus y sus cepas resistentes en el momento del brote, para en el futuro podemos entender si es problema de bioseguridad externa o interna. Ok, y de vuelta para PCR, ¿cómo podemos hacerlo? En este momento es muy sencillo, solamente PCR, y tenemos esta fact sheet en la mesa también, y que vamos a enfocar aquí en la PCR. Recomendamos nosotros hacerlo de manera semanal para entender cómo está la evolución de los resultados de PCR. Queremos de estatus 1, van a ser siempre positivos, para estatus 1B, donde tengo la gran mayoría negativa, un 75% más o menos, y para esto, eso no ocurre de un día para otro, eso es de manera progresiva. Entonces, si tú estás midiendo de manera semanal, que tú vas a mirar es los CTs, los resultados de PCR, los CT, valores de CTs van a progredir y aumentar semana por semana. Entonces, en el inicio del brote, vamos a hacer PCR semanales, y si está en el inicio del brote, las primeras 10, 15 semanas, vamos a esperar resultados positivos, pero seguimos haciendo esto para garantizar que los CTs están aumentando hasta que son negativos, y logramos el estatus de estabilidad. Esto en el sitio 1, que hacemos con el destete y los animales de terminación, muy simples también, con fluidos orales, podemos hacer la misma pregunta, y más una vez, ¿por qué tengo que hacerlo? Para poder entender si la prevalencia está bajando, la presión de infección está bajando, y mirando los resultados de PCR y valores de CT. Y con esto, Dr. Clayton, ahora sabemos nuestro objetivo, sabemos qué queremos hacer, y ahora, ¿qué hacemos?
Ahora es paso 3. For step 3, we make a list of the restrictions or the constraints of the farm. Constraints are a reality, and it is very important that we are honest with ourselves about our real constraints. Not all farms have an equal chance of success for PRRS control and PRRS elimination. We need to write down our biggest risks, our biggest concerns, things that we know are a risk for a successful outcome. In this situation, the first constraint that is a very real challenge for our farm is that we are a farrow to finish farm. Having the growing pigs raised up on the same place as the sows, the site 1, is a very challenging situation for managing the PRRS. We will have the PRRS present in pigs on the farm all the time. With PRRS, we know the adults recover much more quickly than the growing pigs. And unfortunately, those growing pigs will serve as a risk for reinfection of the adults for much longer than if this was just a site 1 that was breed to wean only, and it was segregated production with the site 2 and 3 in a different location. So that is constraint number 1. Constraint number 2 is a very common constraint. Many farms do not have a location for gilts at their site. There is not a place for the PRRRSs. Maybe we can bring them in, the gilts, at 30 weeks of age, 25 weeks of age, but we don't have the ability to bring in gilts all the way down to the weaning age and load the farm before we close it. We just don't have a place to put those gilts. So said another way, if we close the herd, we will run out of gilts to breed fairly quickly. So that is a constraint that we must acknowledge and consider as part of our plan. The last constraint for this farm is really something that the owner is curious about. The owner is aware that using live virus exposure is sometimes a part of PRRS management programs, and the owner wants to at least have a discussion about the LVI, or the live virus inoculation. The owner is curious. What would be the benefits? What would be the negatives of doing that sort of approach? So those are the 3 items that we have to consider as we start to put together a plan. They're important for the owner, and as such, they need to be important for us. So I'd like to invite Marius to come back up to the stage now and talk to us, Marius, about how will we consider these constraints in the bigger picture of the PRRS management plan.
Perfect. Thank you, Clayton. And in the previous slides, I have quickly introduced you to one specific feature of combat that is very important when we decide whether we are aiming for control or elimination. Here in the next couple of slides, I would like to introduce you to the backbone of the tool, so the biosecurity assessment. I like it a lot because it acts like a biosecurity shopping list. Just by clicking through the tool, you are sure you don't miss any important question to ask, any important topic to cover. And just a small anecdote, when we were creating this tool 2 years ago, we collaborated with 2 journalists, 2 data visualization journalists. And in the beginning, I handed over to them a big list of questions and said, oh, these are the most important questions I really would like to include in the biosecurity tool. And they told me, Marius, nobody will go through 60 questions. People will lose interest. We have to break it up in chunks. So what we did is we assigned those questions to the different categories. And previously I told you we have a section for general biosecurity, for external, transportation, internal, and management. And when you're going through the tool, you already see the results after completing the sections, the question for each section. So you don't have to do the entire biosecurity assessment and then get a final report. You will get a report step after step after step. So this is then how the report in the tool would look like. It's a web-based application, and we have a flyer for you on your desk. You can save it to your cell phone, so it does have the look and feel of an application, even though it is a website. It is a website adapted to desktop as well as to cell phone, and this is how it looks on your cell phone. This is the general biosecurity assessment. So it's a 5-grid box from very low to very high risk biosecurity. Currently, we are in the middle risk, and we added not only a biosecurity assessment, because biosecurity assessment is only a step in between to improve biosecurity. So it's very important that we add this step of improving biosecurity, and this is what the tool does. So based on the answers, it will automatically suggest you the most impactful biosecurity actions. And when you are including those 5 suggested biosecurity actions, you are able to reduce the biosecurity risk from here medium to low. But we know that this is very farm specific. So each farm is individual, and it's only you who is able to consider which of those options are really applicable for your system. So you can cross them out if you think they're not applicable for your system. If you scroll further down, you will see a filter, and you can filter for a specific question, for a specific task that you would like to implement. You can add those to the list, so you can modify the list, and then also show the producer how the biosecurity would change when he implements the suggested tasks. This is what I meant that we break the biosecurity down after each section. So you, in addition to the general biosecurity or to the summarized biosecurity of all those sections, you can scroll further down and see then the biosecurity assigned to each of those different sections. You can there is a drop-down menu where you can better understand why external biosecurity was assessed as moderate biosecurity risk. We have made this tool personalized, so you are able to upload either the logo of your company, the logo of your vet practice, the logo of your production system, and then share it with your clients. And in the end, it will be important that the tool is very user-friendly, that it doesn't take a lot of time to go through the tool, so that you are able to conduct the biosecurity assessment repeatedly over time. So every 3 months, every 6 months. And then you can track your biosecurity assessment over time. So the blue line would be the system that you are representing, and the orange line would be the comparison. The comparison are the average data of similar system in the entire country. So this will be very important so that you can not only assess the evolution of your biosecurity, you can also compare it with average Mexican data to better estimate of whether you have a compatible biosecurity system or it needs further improvements. So with that, please feel free to use the tool and let me know. We're going to meet again, and I would love to hear your feedback, your comment, what you like about it, what you don't like about it, because the good thing is with technology, it can always be adapted. So please let me know your comments, and I would like to learn more from you, what you find important.